Hello, Skele Vaderites. Man, I have been waiting for this figure even before I knew I was waiting for this figure. I am so stoked to have this guy, Slush Head, in my collection now. Here are some other figures in this line, and there are the numbers if you need them. Let's get this guy out of his box and take a closer look. So I am stoked to have this figure as part of the Skele Vader collection. I couldn't be happier. I fell in love with the vintage figure about 2 years ago. I was never really a huge fan of New Adventures figures, but when I saw this guy online with the water in his helmet, which for some reason never goes bad, and his bumpy skin. But I love this figure. And so when Masterverse announced that they would be releasing a newer version of Slush Head, or Calamar as he's also known, I was just ecstatic. The vintage figure is great. This Masterverse figure is definitely an improvement. I do have one little complaint that we'll talk about in a little bit, but I love that this head sculpt, the one that he came with straight out of the box, is based on the vintage toy. And he does come with another head sculpt, which is based on the animated cartoon. And I've watched some of those episodes, and I like them. Sort of love-hate thing. They're not great. I mean, I grew up with Filmation, but the Slush Head character in that show is really fantastic. And this sculpt with the sunken eyes and the teeth just really captures that cartoon version of Slush Head. But let's get a good close look at this guy. The skin sculpt with the sort of a minimal black wash over the skin is great. His shin guards are definitely reminiscent of the vintage figure. His mechanical body armor is near exact replica of the vintage figure, which makes me really happy. Obviously there are design improvements, and the attachment that would go on the vintage figure had one peg and the new one has two, which is fine. His arm harness attachments are now totally three-dimensional, coming up off of the arm, whereas the vintage one had those sculpted onto his arms. His harness does come off, which is good, because the main complaint that I had that I have still, is that the glass dome does not come off. It seems to be glued on. I did watch on the Man-Child's video, which, by the way, you should all go over and check out his channel. He's got great reviews over there. He went in and cut a piece of the clear plastic, and mainly to get that helmet off, so that he could put that same glass dome on this little attachment. Because this part comes out, you can put the other head of Slush Head in there on that peg, and then put that glass dome on there. But mine does not separate from the harness, and I'm not willing to cut this apart. Unless he goes on clearance one of these days, maybe I'll do that. But I do, however, really love this. This purple goo is fantastic in this mechanism that attaches to his back. And I don't know what this is in reference to. Maybe there was an episode in the cartoon. I haven't watched all those episodes, so maybe there's a reference there to this. So I'm going to go ahead and put the cartoon style head sculpt on the body and reattach his chest harness and get this guy decked out with all of his accessories. And let's see what he looks like. I do want to also mention that the classics version of this figure did allow him to store water in his helmet, which I think would have been really cool for the Masterverse version. What a cool play feature. They did opt out of that for this, but that's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what the new backpack thingy looks like on him. It stands out a little bit far, and he's when you try and stand this figure up with that particular back piece on there, it's more difficult for him to stand upright. You can have him leaning forward, but even then, that does sort of shift his weight a bit too easily. And especially if you put those arm tentacle things on there, you'll really have to lean him forward. But it would be a great thing to do a great thing to add to him for action figure photos. Let's look at this weapon. This is a direct reference to his vintage weapon. It's an axe/laser gun, which is very cool. Really happy with this. Mine is a little bit bent straight out of the package, but you can just sort of slightly manipulate it to get it back to its normal shape. I do want to say that you should all be very careful with this. The plastic does seem like a little bit stiffer than what we've seen in the past Masterverse releases, so be careful to not snap that. And he comes with these amazing tentacles, which are also a direct reference to the vintage tentacles. These are sort of two clamping arms, and then these two are nautical references. You've got an anchor and a trident, which is so cool. So cool to see, especially since he's sort of like I'm using air quotes here, he's like the merman of New Adventures He-Man. He comes with these webbed finger hands, which are great. I'm definitely going to use one of these for one of his hands once I get him set up for my shelf display. Let's get his vintage style backpack on here. He comes with this too, which is what I am definitely going to be using for this guy. And the tentacles attach right to those 4 little peg holes, and he's already starting to come together here. He's sort of like a Doc Ock meets Krang meets Merman, doing all the weird guy things, and I absolutely love that. I was a huge fan of Doc Ock, Dr. Octopus, as I knew him as a kid, and I'm a big fan of Slush Head now too. Love this guy. Let's get his other webbed hand in there, and so we see what he looks like. I'm basically ready to put this guy on display. Now, I do want to say something about that larger, stranger back piece that he comes with. You can add those tentacles to it and turn it into sort of a spider creature with the purple stuff inside there serving as sort of the brain. But you can also, if you get that glass dome off of this slush head and put it on that back piece, then you attach all 4 legs, it can be like a spider creature with one of the slush head heads on there. I've seen people do that. I wanted to do that for this today, but I'm not willing to take a knife to my little clear plastic dome there just to get it off. So Mattel, if you're doing this again on New Waves, make sure you make that helmet removable. All right, so I couldn't be happier with this guy. He looks fantastic. He's gonna look great when I take him outside to do a toy photo. He looks fantastic. He's going to look great on my shelf next to the vintage guy. And the slush head just makes me so happy. And apologies to my wife for bringing another super gross looking guy into the house. But that's all right. Love this guy. So I want to say a huge thank you to all of you for watching this video. And I want to say a big thank you to those of you who are patrons of this channel. Julia Honer, MotuOriginsCork, Brick Something, Carole Geis, Don Roberts, John from Figuratively Speaking, and Thanos Copter. I thank you all so much for being patrons of this channel. And if you're interested in becoming a patron, the link is right down below. Also down there, you're gonna see a link to Toy Frenzy Stickers, which is a show that I host with my pals on Thursday nights here on this channel. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. Oh, there's a little shop down below too. You can find some Skele Vader or Toy Frenzy things down there. Definitely peruse that. Folks, I hope you all ordered this slush head from Target. I have no idea yet if he's going to be showing up in stores, but I do hope so because everyone deserves to have this slush head in their collection. All right, I'll see you in the next video.